Want to bring in Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas to talk about Swalwell and the overall China threat. But related, we do have some breaking news, Senator, that President-elect Biden has just responded to a question about Hunter Biden. Let's take a listen.
I'm confident.
And in case you couldn't hear that, Senator Peter Doocy, our reporter there, asked if the president-elect is confident that Hunter did nothing wrong. And the vice president says, I'm confident he did nothing wrong. That's the first he's really answered anything about that in the last week. Let's get your thoughts on what he said.
Well, Dana, it's nice that he finally deigned to answer Peter Doocy or any other reporter as opposed to just arrogantly dismissing their question. He may be confident in his son, but I don't think many of the American people are. Look, Hunter Biden has been under investigation by multiple U.S. attorneys for multiple potential crimes like tax fraud or money laundering, securities fraud, fraud in connection with purchasing a hospital or investing in one with Joe Biden's brother. This is why the Biden family needs to come clean. They need to explain exactly what Hunter Biden has been up to, and they need to let the American people get to the bottom of it. It's why the media should have addressed these things before the election, as opposed to trying to bury any news that would reflect poorly on Joe Biden and his family's practice of profiting off his public office.
Let me ask you about these 17 Republican members of Congress have asked that Eric Swalwell, the congressman from California, be removed from the Intel Committee. Do you think that that is meritorious and that should happen? Or how do you explain it if the Democrats think that this is just being partisan?
Well, Dana, I think their concerns are very compelling. Look, Eric Swalwell has access to the nation's most sensitive secrets, and somehow he let a Chinese spy insinuate herself into his life. If there's really nothing nefarious here, if he was just an innocent victim, then he should come forward and publicly explain exactly how this happened. He's hiding behind the cloak of classified information, but you've been in government, you've been in the White House, you know what is and is not classified. There's nothing classified about Eric Swalwell's fundraising practices or his social life.
That is an interesting thing that, when all of this came to light and the FBI approaches Eric Swalwell, it is curious to me that Speaker Pelosi seems to blow it off, that it's any big deal, that she then put him on the Intel Committee. And there was a real lack of transparency. And I don't know if that is what you would think. Is that something that the FBI should have done? And can they get that improved in the future? Because overall, I'd like your thoughts as we wrap up here about how deep and broad the Chinese threat is.
I think Nancy Pelosi needs to explain, too, why she put Eric Swalwell on the House Intelligence Committee. It does reflect just how sweeping the Chinese threat is. I mean, Chinese spies are cultivating politicians all across America today as we speak. And I don't just mean senators and congressmen. I mean state legislators and county commissioners and city councilmen, as Eric Swalwell was apparently targeted when he was in local office, because China plays the long game and it is looking to cultivate people who might rise to higher office in this country, the same way they cultivate young scholars or recruit spies on campuses or in tech or other critical industries. The China threat is real and it is pervasive in our country.
Yeah, we'll have to, we had a chance to deal with it. This has been very eye-opening. It's a real wake-up call. Senator Tom Cotton, thank you.
Well, the Associated Press reporting this morning that President Trump is pushing for a special counsel in the Hunter Biden probe. Meantime, White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany is slamming the media. She says they're ignoring the Hunter Biden and Eric Swalwell scandals. McEnany calling it bias by omission.
There have been quite a few stories that have not gotten a ton of coverage in the mainstream media. And last week, we found out that Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell was infiltrated by an alleged Chinese spy. Guess how many minutes of coverage it got on ABC, NBC, MSNBC, and CBS? 0.
Kristen, good morning to you. What else is the White House press secretary saying?
The Swalwell story, the White House press secretary is also frustrated that the investigation into the president-elect's son, Hunter Biden, has not received more attention. And she spent a significant amount of time talking about it while she was speaking in the briefing room yesterday.
Interesting pre-election and post-election coverage, too, on the Hunter Biden scandal, which was not covered at all by many outlets. And the lead up to the election in Politico, October 19th, Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinformation. That's a favorite. Dozens of former intel officials say false yet again. December 2nd, now Politico reads, Justice Department's interest in Hunter Biden covered more than taxes. Really interesting turn of events, and good for those who covered what was a story all along and not Russia disinformation.
Now, the Associated Press is reporting this morning that President Trump is considering pushing to have a special counsel appointed to advance this federal tax investigation into Hunter Biden. The president's also reportedly interested in having another special counsel appointed to look into his own claims of election fraud, even though his outgoing Attorney General, Bill Barr, maintains that so far the department has found none. Now, the reason the president would want a special counsel to be appointed is because it would make those investigations so much more difficult to kill in a Biden administration. But it remains to be seen if Bill Barr's replacement, the current Deputy Attorney General, Jeff Rosen, if he would go for it, if indeed this is something that does want. Trace?
Yeah, that's an unknown. Kristen Fisher live for us at the White House. Kristen, thank you.